That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Trade Talk. This week we're talking about the Batman of Arkham. This is by Alan Grant with art by Alcatena, Alcancatena. No idea who that artist is. This is an old Elseworld story. I've had this for years, and I've seriously never read it. It's just been sitting in the back of one of my old comic long boxes, and I just never ever got around to sitting down and reading it. But I was looking for a trade to review. I got a stack of trades that I've maybe read in the past, the long past, and just never gotten around to, or trades that I just haven't read and thought I would make for a good episode of Trade Talk. And I figured I'd throw this on the stack. Now, what you need to understand about me is I really, really like Arkham. Arkham and stories centered around Arkham are one of, if not my favorite things about the Batman mythos. I think Arkham has a character all to itself. And I find it really fascinating to read about Arkham. So when I saw the Batman of Arkham, I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. Wonder what this is going to be. And it's not particularly interesting or special or anything. It's like a weaker version of Gotham by Gaslight, but like not even. This is set in the 1900s, or the year 1900 rather. Bruce Wayne is the head of Arkham Asylum and is also Batman by night. But he's a very modern man when it comes to the treatment of the mentally ill. He's reading things like Freud, and he believes that the mentally ill can be helped, and so he's working with them. His contemporary, also working at the asylum, Dr. Jonathan Crane, does not believe this and is actively working to undermine him and just kind of wants to be a sadist and use fear. I like that just about every time we see Crane's shadow, it's the shadow of Scarecrow. So, yeah, that's seriously the story is Bruce Wayne wants to cure the mentally ill, and Jonathan Crane wants to torment them. Meanwhile, there's a madman known as the Joker running around Gotham doing evil, and Batman goes to fight him once but gets Joker gassed. He manages to make it back to the asylum, but Bruce Wayne is cracking under the pressure of the Joker gas and gets locked up in his own asylum. Crane kind of takes over and just becomes a complete sadist and basically tries to torment everybody, undoes all of Bruce Wayne's work. But Bruce is able to pull through and fight the Joker gas and defeat the Joker, send him to Arkham, and reestablish control of the asylum by the end of it. And fire Jonathan Crane. That is such a weak story. That's just not what makes Arkham interesting. It's got some cool imagery in it. Like, I like Bruce Wayne being tied up in a straitjacket inside of Arkham Asylum. That's cool. the artist does some really neat things with the paneling. Like, look at the border around that panel, the ghostish face, the just, it looks creepy. But a lot of the panels are laid out in a really weird fashion. Like, the gutters for a lot of the paneling lines have like this kind of ornate window kind of feel to them. Like, it looks like the frame of a window, I guess. It's got this cool elegance. Like, I like this panel of Batman getting Joker gassed, and it does a good job of showing some kind of separation from reality as he's kind of swimming in the smoke and the fumes and unable to control himself. That's cool. It looks cool. I like the costume. Looks inspired by the Golden Age outfit, you know, particularly in that panel. The art's probably the best thing about this book. I just wish it were a better story. It's just such a waste. The Batman of Arkham. You've got Bruce Wayne running the asylum. What's he like? What's it like to have someone who belongs in the asylum running the thing? There are interesting questions there. We don't do anything with it. It's just the Batman of Arkham. Yeah, it's just a Batman story, but instead of Bruce Wayne being the rich playboy that lives at Wayne Manor, he's a rich doctor that runs Arkham Asylum. But it doesn't even really matter that much to the overall story. The fact that he treats Killer Croc really well is what enables him to, you know, eventually get out of the asylum and save the day. But still, it's not enough to justify the premise. It's such a short book. I just feel like this is such a wasted idea. This is one of those things where there's like a lot of potential, but nothing really is done with it that's of much interest, and that's disappointing. Again, some really cool art. Like, I like the look of Two-Face here. I feel like, you know, this would be one of those things where if it were written and drawn by the same person, that would make a lot of sense, because it feels like a lot of this is just excuses to get some really cool imagery with, like, 19th century inspired, or no, 20th century inspired imagery related to Batman in it. Like, I like when Crane takes over the asylum, he kind of has the guards wear the whole cages on their faces thing. That's such a bizarre and specific image tied to early psychology and treatment of the mentally ill. So that's kind of cool, but it's just, I honestly cannot recommend anyone seek this out or spend their time reading it or their money to get it. This was originally $6 when it came out, and I don't even think it would be worth the $6. I don't even remember how much I paid for this. I got it so long ago. Definitely not more than $10, but I cannot recommend this on any level. It's just so not worth it to me. It's such a wasted opportunity, it feels like. Which is disappointing. What can you do? And that's weird. One sec. Give me 1 sec. I gotta go look at something. Because this will be coming up in probably next week. I'll probably announce what I'm talking about next week with this Arkham 100-page spectacular that I found while going through that same comic box. Who's the writer? Denny O'Neil. Because this is like a collection of short stories that I'll be talking about next week. Alan Grant. This is so weird because Alan Grant has a really good grasp of what makes Arkham interesting, but it's so not what he's getting here. So this will be really interesting to talk about in respect to this one. So make sure to tune in next week, since Alan Grant, I feel like most of the time, has a really good understanding of Arkham. I'm pretty sure the stories in this are older than are newer than the Batman of Arkham. I have no idea when this came out. Let's see your copyright date in here. 2000. Oof. This came out in 2000. What a waste. I'm pretty sure the stories in this are newer than this, though, so I feel like his understanding of what makes Arkham Asylum interesting evolved rapidly. But we'll get into it. Anyway, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Trade Talk. Make sure to tune in next week, where I'll be talking about Batman Arkham 100-page Spectacular. This one-shot that's just a bunch of reprints. Next week. Until then, see ya.
That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.